There are a lot of people that would love to get into woodworking, but they don't have $1,000 or more to invest in tools. I'm going to show you today how to do it for about $100 using the same tools that I started with over 30 years ago. Then, just to show you it can be done, we're going to build a planter box using the exact tools I recommend. Let's get started. Before we get to some of the fun stuff, we need to talk about safety equipment.
There is no more important safety rule than to wear these safety glasses.
Never do woodworking without a pair of safety glasses. And if you're working with power tools, which we will be, you're going to need a pair of earplugs so that you don't hear that sound that I hear all the time because I was stupid when I was younger. If you're working in an enclosed space, you're also going to need something like a respirator or a dust mask. But since you're starting off, I figure you're probably working out in your lawn or in a driveway, so you may not need it. Now, the first thing you're going to need is a measuring tool. And of course, you can use anything you want. You can use the side of your arm. You can use a cat. But most of us are probably going to use something like a measuring tape. And the mistake that people make, I think, is jumping to something like this, which is really a carpentry tool. Carpentry is about building structures that stay in place. We're doing woodworking, and so our things are smaller. I hardly ever measure anything that's longer than 8 feet, maybe 10 feet. So I've picked out a 10-foot measuring tape. It's very accurate. I don't use this much anymore. In fact, if I'm going to go any longer than this, I'll go with something like this laser measuring tape, which goes out to 16 feet. And then beyond that, I just measure with a laser. The biggest advantage to a smaller tape measure is that it's lighter. It's a tool you carry with you as you work, and this one fits in your pocket. It's made by Crescent, and all these tools will be linked below in case you want to check them out. The next thing you're going to need is something to make 90-degree angles for cross cuts. And honestly, it can be anything as long as you have a 90-degree angle in it. But most of us are going to use a tool for that. You can use a framing square like this, but it's a little overkill for the woodworking that we're going to do. For years, I've used plastic speed squares. They're stable, they work, but they do break. I have a 12-inch one and a 6-inch one, and this is the one I use 95% of the time. Down below, I've linked a good aluminum one that is going to be my new favorite speed square. This is an upgrade, and I'm really excited about it. Some people call this a rafter square, and of course there are other ways to go. I love a good combination square, and a tri-square can't be beat, but they're usually a bit more expensive, and a speed square gets the job done. So, I know you've been waiting for this. Let's talk about cutting tools. So you're going to need to cut wood. Most people are going to tell you that for woodworking, you need to have a table saw, and a lot of them are going to tell you that you need to have a miter saw too. I'm here to tell you that you don't. Eventually, these are tools you're probably going to want to pick up if you take to it, but you're not going to get a good starter table saw for probably under around $500, maybe $400. Regardless, it's out of your price range, and if you wait for that, it might be forever before you get started. I started with this, not a tool like this, but this exact circular saw. It's over 30 years old and it won't die no matter what I do to it. I've thought about replacing it many times, but I just can't justify it. For you, I've picked out this Skill 13 amp corded circular saw. Skill is a name synonymous with circular saws. It's a sidewinder saw, which is what we like to use down here in the southern United States. The advantages of this over my old one is it's a little bit lighter and it's much more powerful. There are a few ways to make accurate cuts with a circular saw. The most obvious is to follow a straight line, but it can take some practice. A lot of people will use their speed square as an edge guide, and that works too as long as you keep track of your fingers so you don't chop one off. My favorite is to use a cross-cutting jig. To use this, you put your board inside the jig and square it up to the side. Then you line up your cut with a pre-cut groove and use the little board on top as a fence. It's a cool jig, and you don't need one, but if you want to build one, I did put up a video recently on how to build it on the free tier of my Patreon. There's a lot of cool stuff there, so feel free to check it out. Now, a circular saw is a versatile tool, and sometimes it's the only tool that will work for a cut. Everyone needs one. And all the tools on this list are things you won't outgrow. You'll always need them, and hopefully they'll last you for many years. The other power tool you're going to need is some kind of drill. You're going to need to find some way to make holes in wood, but it'll also help you in joining your boards together. Now, most of the time, I will use this DeWalt battery-powered set, and this is great, but this set alone is around $150 last time I checked. I always keep this in backup, and you'd be surprised how much I go to it because it has more power than the other ones, and you never know when you're going to run out of batteries. This is an old Ryobi back before they were green, and the letters are faded on this. I don't know how old it is, but it's been covered in chicken poop. It's been left out in the rain. It will not die, and that's the thing about these corded tools. They're hard to destroy. I've picked out this Black & Decker hammer drill. Now it has two modes. You can put it over on the right with this switch and it works just as a normal drill, which you can use also as a driver, or it's got this hammer mode in case you need to go into bricks or concrete. You're not going to use that very much right now, but eventually you're going to want to have a hammer drill. This is way better than the hammer drill I've been working with. I'm very excited about this tool and it's probably going to replace a few of my other ones. I've been cutting up all these cedar fence boards, and it's in assembly that I really got a chance to spend time with this drill. I'll be honest, I love it except for one thing. It's not very well balanced, which is because it doubles as a hammer drill. It has a big motor and extra hardware inside, so it's a little harder to handle. Now, Black & Decker also makes one that doesn't have the hammer function, and it's not going to have that problem. I'll link them both so that you can make your own decision. They're pretty much the same price anyway. I had a little money left to spend before I hit $100, and I put it toward these countersink bits. Technically, these are consumables, and I didn't include consumables to the list, like screws, sandpaper, and pencils. Those are part of your project expenses, and I want you to spend your first $100 on long-term investments.
Hey, wait a minute. I forgot to show you how to build a planter box. Don't worry, I got you.
You're going to need 3 wide fence pickets and 1 narrow one. Get 1 8-foot 2x2, a box of 1 1/4-inch screws and 8 3/4-inch screws. Cut the 2x2 into 22, 22, 9.5, 9.5, and 4 6-inch segments. Cut 1 wide picket into 4 9.5-inch and 2 6-inch segments, and the other 2 into 4 22-inch and 4 10 3/4-inch segments. Then lay out the front by placing 2 22-inch wide pickets, 2 6-inch 2x2s, 1 22-inch 2x2, and a 6-inch wide picket like this, and screw it all together. Use the 3/4-inch screws here and make sure you leave 1.5 inches space here and 3/4 of an inch here. Repeat all that for the back. Attach the sides to the front and the back to the sides, and then lay out the bottom with 9.5-inch wide picket boards. Ignore that I'm using narrow ones here, it doesn't matter. Attach the 11.5-inch narrow picket boards as legs and then flip it upright. Put the 2 10.5-inch 2x2s between the legs on each side to support the top rail, and add 12-inch narrow pickets as decorative top rails. I wanted to take this video and thank my friends at Patreon. So for anybody that joins at any paid tier, I'm going to give you free plans to build this planter box. I worked really hard on them. In fact, if you join at the free tier, I'm going to show you how to build the cross-cutting jig that I used earlier. If you join at the $5 level, I'm also going to throw in a SketchUp file for those of you that like the digital stuff. And if you join at the $10 level, then I'm going to give you the shirt off my back. Not literally this one, but one just like it. It says Worst Workshop, mistakes will be made, because that's how we do around here. It comes in gray and in black. So I hope to see you over on Patreon, and I'll see all of you in the next episode of Worst Workshop.